We're getting advanced on today's Peacock and Williamson. We're talking DVOA, the godfather of analytics, as he is known in some circles. Aaron Schatz, FTN Fantasy, the creator of DVOA. On today's episode, getting the divisional previews, a little bit about the rookie class and who are the best teams according to DVOA in 2023. Coming at you right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love all the everydayers out there. Make sure you are subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Really excited for our guest today, Aaron Schatz, at A Shots NFL on Twitter. FTN Fantasies, where you can find a lot of his work and all of the DVOA stuff. Now, the new home of DVOA. What is DVOA? We'll get into that momentarily. Today's episode, though, of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/lockedon NFL and get a little special deposit match bonus. Use code LOCKEDONNFL, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100 at PrizePicks. Aaron, thank you for joining the show, sir. I know Matt and you have crossed paths before. ESPN back in the day. I saw your latest at ESPN about the rookie class I want to get to in this podcast as well. And Matt's talking about you in this stratosphere of Godfather status. So,
I've been doing this a long time, man. I've been doing this since 2003.
Okay. Wow. So, I'm a little less than that, but in the neighborhood. Right, that's great stuff. Way ahead of your time, too. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Can you? Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Take it over.
Start first with just what is DVOA? Because there's probably some football fans out there that have seen DVOA, don't really know exactly what they're looking at. And I know a lot of folks that just leave it to the smart guys and say, well, they say this is good, so I'm going to roll with it. But what is the methodology? Where did this come from, DVOA?
Sure. It stands for defense adjusted value over average, although it's actually, offense adjusted sometimes and defense adjusted sometimes. The basic idea is every play gets a success rating that's based on the down and distance, right? 3 yards is good on 3rd and 1. 3 yards is bad on 3rd and 10. That kind of thing.
Okay.
And that gets compared to a league average baseline that is adjusted for situation and opponent, so that anything over 0 is good offense and anything under 0 is good defense. And it's normalized to each season averaging out at 0. So that allows us to compare numbers from now to numbers from the past where, the game has changed, but you get an idea, a team that was 25% better than average in the past and a team that was 25 better than average now are different because the average is different.
So I always use this example, and I don't know much about baseball, but back in the day, Babe Ruth would hit more home runs than most teams. So to me, he was so much better than his peers that maybe he's the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? Like, right. I guess Bob Gibson had that great year that he had an unbelievably low ERA, but the league's ERA was really low at the time. So I guess what you're kind of saying is you can look at the Niners or Ravens this year and say, how much better were they than the 85 Bears to the rest of the league or something along those lines? Is that what you're
Because the fact is, if you put the 85 Bears on the field with the current Ravens would probably beat them 8 or 9 times out of 10 because, first of all, the rules have changed. So certain things that the 85 Bears did to win, they can't do anymore.
Right.
And sports science is so much better now. Players are faster. Players are bigger. They're more developed as athletes. The history of athletics throughout time is that players constantly get better at their sports. But it's
if I
more
can interrupt
fun
you
to
real
compare
quick, like
average.
refrigerator Perry would be like the 15th heaviest guy on the field.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's more fun to say, how good were the 85 Bears compared to an average team of their time? How
Yeah.
good are the Ravens and 49ers compared to an average team of our time? And that, then you can compare them on more stable, equal footing.
I heard this, I think, from you, and it's been so long, I don't exactly remember, but I remember you explaining something along the lines of when you did team DVOA, if it's an 8-piece of pie, 8 pie pieces, 4 of them are offense, 3 are defense, 1 is special teams. Am I on line with that?
Yep. If you look
Okay.
at the range of numbers, right, you end up with the best offense is usually about a third better than the best defense,
Okay.
which is like 3 times better than the best special teams. So it ends up working out to, a football team is roughly 50% offense, 37% defense, and 13% special teams.
Okay.
And of course, you can find more about all of this and all the latest at ftnfantasy.com. There's a new home of DVOA. They got DVOA division round previews and tons more. So you guys got to check that out. And of course, follow Aaron on Twitter at Schatz NFL. So you mentioned the Niners and the Ravens, and I've seen the DVOA numbers. Are those clearly the 2 best teams in the NFL? And who is the best team in the NFL in 2020?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, do we have the Ravens and 49ers ahead of the rest of the league?
Yeah.
We have the Ravens as the number 1 team. What it takes usually to be dominant in DVOA is dominant victories over good opponents. And that's what the Ravens have this year. San Francisco and Miami. And don't forget they beat Houston 25-9 back in week 1.
Yeah, Detroit.
And they beat Cleveland 28-3 in the first of the 2 games against Cleveland. And they beat Detroit by like 30 points. Like they have dominated victories over and over again. San Francisco, for the most part, the same thing over Dallas, over Philadelphia, except for the loss to Baltimore. So both of these teams are historically good by DVOA. The Baltimore Ravens are the 5th best team measured by DVOA in the regular season. And that goes all the way back to 1981. And the 49ers are the 8th best team going all the way back to 1981. There's never been a year where 2 teams were this good.
Wow, that's pretty unbelievable. And that's why those teams had buys in the first round of the playoffs. And we'll get to see them here in the divisional round. We got to do some divisional round previews with the 8 teams that are left in this tournament. Some really good games. This is my favorite weekend of football all year long because of the kickoff weekend is really fun, and there's a lot of fun weeks, and the Super Bowl is fun. But man, these are the teams, and you get the 4 games, the best 8 teams, divisional round heading into the conference championship game. So let's break these down a little bit in some of these matchups, DVOA style with Aaron Schatz next. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And you might have whatever it is going on in your life that you need to get off your chest. Don't let a small thing become a big thing. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to talk through those, and certainly things that really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. And for me, it is the haters that come at you when you're doing a podcast in a public forum like this. You get some weird trolls out there. You get some weird folks out there, and sometimes you just got to let it roll right down your back. We'll talk to Aaron about this a little bit later. I'm sure he hears a lot of this. There's been this famous back and forth with JJ Watt and PFF this week. So whenever you're putting things out like rankings and ratings and talking about sports, you're going to get a lot of that. So talk through it and let that stuff go. Don't hold on to it. And whatever that might be in your life, and it's probably much more important than sports in your life, family, job, whatever it is, therapy can be different for everyone. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. We're not going to focus on the haters today, Aaron. We are going to, and I'm sure you get a lot of weird stuff from people.
I've got plenty. I've been accused of hating every team. The funniest thing is I'm very open about being a Patriots fan. I live in Worcester, Massachusetts. The Patriots were the reason I started doing this. And yet if I say something negative about the Patriots, I'll get people calling me a hater. And I'm like, you really don't follow me, do you? Like,
you really aren't paying
you really don't follow me, do you?
So do you have a hard take on, like, Brady was more important than Belichick, and now that Belichick's gone, what are your thoughts on the Patriots right now?
My guess is it was about 60-40 Brady.
Okay.
But I think neither of them would have been as successful without the other one. And the idea that Belichick is not the greatest coach of all time because Brady doesn't make sense, because all the greatest coaches of all time, except for Joe Gibbs, had great quarterbacks that they're associated with. And, Brady would not have won those first couple of Super Bowls without Belichick, and he wouldn't have beaten the Rams 13-3 if Belichick had not kept the Rams to 3. So you really needed both of them, and it's hard to see them gone. And I have no idea. None of us has any idea what kind of a head coach Gerard Mayo is going to be. You just predicting how good head coaches are going to be is so difficult because it's such a different skill set than coordinator or anything else, honestly.
So we were talking about special teams being 1/8, give or take, the last segment. And these last 2 years don't apply, which is very un-Belichickian. But going back to the Ravens, from what I've gathered, just following your work for all these years, Harbaugh, Belichick are always top 5 special teams type of franchises, and everyone else is random year to year, give or take.
Pretty much. Special teams is very random, but Belichick until the last couple of years and Harbaugh always have good special teams, always. The Patriots had a streak from 1995 to 2020 where they had above average special teams every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the Ravens are similar and still rolling along. I mean, I know they're in the top 5 again.
And the Ravens are, third this year, the Ravens.
Okay.
We'll see what the next 20 years of Jaden Daniels plus Gerard Mayo looks like. Maybe they can.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to end up with. So we'll see whether Daniels is good.
And I apologize in advance for this. Can Jaden Daniels be the mustard to Gerard Mayo?
There you go.
Let's talk divisional round playoffs, and let's finish up with the 1 seeds, I guess, since we are there. How do you like this matchup for the Baltimore Ravens? Obviously at home, well rested against the upstart Houston Texans.
Yeah, the Texans were 12th this year in DVOA, a little bit higher if you take out the 2 games that Stroud sat out with a concussion. The problem is everything Stroud is great at, the Ravens defense is also great at. Stroud was 3rd in value on deep passes of 16 or more air yards. The Ravens were the number 1 defense on those passes. Stroud was 2nd in the league on passing on first down. The Ravens were 1st in the league passing on first down. Stroud is better if he faces a nickel defense. The Ravens are better if they're in a nickel defense. So it's like they counter everything Stroud does. And then, by the way, they were also the number 1 team on 3rd and long, which, given how bad the Texans running game is and the fact that they run the ball more than you would expect them to, they're going to be in a lot of 3rd and longs, and the Ravens are going to come out there and they're going to tee off on Stroud. Oh, and by the way, also the Texans run defense is good, but their pass coverage is not. So the Ravens will be able to pass the ball. It's just a very difficult matchup. Again, the Ravens do everything well this year. And
that's what I was about to ask you.
Certain strengths.
As a Steelers guy, it kind of pains me, but I know the answer. Is the Ravens even average at anything?
The Ravens average at, I'm sure there are certain down and distance combinations.
Small things, yeah.
They were 12th against number 1 receivers. Right.
And that's one of their weaknesses.
Yeah, that's one of their weaknesses. And they were still above average. Like even the Ravens' weaknesses are above average.
Okay.
Don't disrespect Nico Collins. We won't have that on this.
Nico's great. But again, the Ravens are just good at everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. And then the night game Saturday is another 1 seed. It's the 49ers hosting the 7 seed and kind of another upstart sort of a game. These are very similar. Both are, 9-10 point underdog on the road against the 1 seed games on Saturday. Where are the Packers at right now? You almost have to split the Packers season into halves, right?
Yeah, the Packers were 13th for the year in DVOA, but in weighted DVOA, which gives more strength to recent games and includes the playoffs, they're number 2 on offense.
Ooh,
but their
okay.
defense is still terrible.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. The problem is, so the 49ers are not as good against the run as you might think. So you think it might actually be a good switch for the Packers to switch it up and run more early in the game, except what happens if the 49ers go up by 14 and then the run is off the table and then Love is pressing. And Love was awesome against dime defenses this year. The Cowboys play more dime defense than anyone else. The 49ers did not play a single snap of dime defense all year. So that's out.
Yeah.
And the pass defense, the Packers are number 31 in pass defense when they do not get pass pressure. And by the way, Purdy was the best quarterback in the league this year when blitzed. So you have to get pressure, and you have to get pressure with your front four. And that's tough. They're not a great front four. So it just looks like a tough game for the Packers. Again, it's, I could see a cover in this game, but like a backdoor cover, like Love gets a lot of yards late in the game as they're trying to catch up. But the 49ers are just so much of a better team. It would be a very big upset for either the Ravens or the 49ers to lose this week.
Yeah, it's tough in the second half against the 49ers. And I do Locked On 49ers, and I cover the 49ers and watch all the games twice and watch the film. And, the first half, they can kind of let teams hang around. We've seen that a few times this year. And, they weren't perfect. They didn't win every game. But in the second half, they just pull away. And I have a feeling that's how the
49ers are not as well-rounded as the Ravens. The run defense has problems, and the special teams are not good. But they're better on offense, and offense is the most predictive thing. Pass offense is the most consistent, predictive part of football, and the 49ers have the best pass offense.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I've said this is the best 49ers team, better than the 2019 team that went to the Super Bowl.
By our numbers, this is the best 49ers team ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the offense and
in the regular season. We'll see what happens with the play. I mean, when you look at like 89, when you think about how great 89 is, in part, you're thinking about the playoff performance. So we don't know what the playoff performance of this team is yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's my team. That's my gateway team. You're speaking my language, talking Ronnie Lott and Jerry Rice and Joe Montana.
So, Aaron, you mentioned that the Niners and Ravens are heads above everybody else, but the Bills are third in DVOA. Does that pass the sniff test to you? Do you feel strongly that they're the third best team? And what do you think how do you think they handle the Chiefs?
Yeah, I certainly feel stronger about it now that Dallas lost.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we had Dallas fourth, so that would have been the debate, but no debate now, I guess. The Chiefs were fifth, right? So this is a really great matchup between the Bills and the Chiefs. But, it's a really good example of how advanced metrics are better than win-loss records when it comes to predicting the future. After week 12, the Bills were 6-6, and the Eagles were 10-1. But we had the Bills fifth, and the Eagles 9th. So at the time, I would have said the Bills are better than the Eagles. Now, I did not expect the Eagles to fall apart to quite the extent that they did.
Sure. Who could have saw
that?
But
I would have said at the time the Bills are a better team than the Eagles, and that was borne out by facts.
Okay.
Are we looking at another? Obviously, the Chiefs' offense hasn't been as good this year as it has in the past, but are we looking at one of those, 45-44 games again? Because that's what everyone wants.
No, because these defenses are – now, listen, I don't know what's going on with the defensive injuries for the Bills. Terrell Bernard is out, I'm sure. Taron Johnson is in concussion protocol. Rasul Douglas is probably back, but missed the last couple of weeks. But these teams, especially the Chiefs, are better on defense than you remember them, and it's going to be cold. Cold equals less scoring, under 32. So, I don't think this is a 45-44 game at all. I mean, do I think Mahomes and Allen may do amazing things? Yes, but fewer of them than you might expect.
It's one of those where it's 19-20 going in the fourth quarter, and they still both put up 40 points, right?
There's going to be runs, right? Because we know Mahomes. Okay, number one, Mahomes runs more in the playoffs. Number two, the Bills' defense is better in man coverage. And the Chiefs are better against zone. So if the Bills want to play man, the problem is that opens things up for Mahomes to run. And then, of course, Allen running. We all know he's got the power. And look what he did on that 52-yard scramble last week. So.
These last couple of weeks, they've been leaning on it more than ever, too.
Yeah,
they do. When they get to the playoffs, they lean on his
yeah.
legs more than ever. Yeah.
Hey, Matt and I have talked about this, and surprised you don't see Steve Spagnuolo's name more on some head coaching lists because he's done a phenomenal job with that Chiefs defense. And
I think it's because we tried that already, and I think maybe people look back at the first go around with the Rams and feel like he may be one of those guys who's a better coordinator than he'll ever be a head coach.
Yeah, he's in a pretty comfortable position right now too. not a bad gig he's got.
Vic Fangio.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to leave to like fight with David Tepper all the time.
Right, take over Washington. Right.
Yeah, go chase those rings, man. He's in a really good spot, and that's why I do like the Chiefs in this one because of that side of the ball. Okay. Next, we've got one more game to preview from the divisional round. Aaron's latest at ESPN about the rookie draft classes in 2023 next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. At the start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What's the one move I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs knows that all your success depends on the team that you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just some other job board either. We're talking about a vast network, 1 billion professionals with a B, which makes it the best place to hire because hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours at LinkedIn Jobs. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And if you want to go to one of these divisional playoff round games, how about some last-minute tickets at Gametime? It is the place to find any tickets, especially last-minute deals on those tickets for whatever NFL game, NBA hoops game, college game, sports, music, comedy, theater events, whatever it is near you. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets. You see the view from your seat before you buy. You know exactly what you're getting when you get to your seats. All-in prices is my favorite aspect of Gametime. I hate the hidden fees. You think you know what the price of your tickets are, and you check out, and you're shocked that they just went up double, right? All-in prices show your total up front, so you know what you're getting, and you know you are getting that great deal before you check out. A couple taps, the tickets are right on the Gametime app. You don't have to fish through your email when you do get to your event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So the last of the divisional round games for us to kind of preview here, DVOA style, is the Buccaneers and the Lions. And
yes, this game is happening. I feel like I have to remind people it's not the Ravens and 49ers being the best teams in the league. It's not the Chiefs Bills being the game week of the weekend. It's this game is also happening. Yes.
Well, I don't know if the script writers are making these guys talk trash each other, but there is a little bit going on here, and I think there's some bulletin board material more than the other games in this one, and I think that plays into Baker Mayfield's hands. And I know they're the underdog, and they're on the road at the Detroit Lions. But what does DVOA tell us about this matchup?
Lions were 7th this year. Buccaneers were 18th, but better near the end of the year. Lions pass defense declined. Here's what's really interesting. You would not expect this. The Lions were number 1 in run defense DVOA.
Wow.
Like they went into this year and they decided we need to be able to do one thing good on defense. They decided they were going to stop the run, and they did. And the Buccaneers are terrible running the ball. They might as well you can't completely give up on the run, but close to it. Yeah. Because they're going to be able to pass all day on the Lions. The Buccaneers are particularly good on third downs. They're number 1 on third down. The Lions are 24th on third downs on defense, including 26th against the pass. So just when you think you've got Mayfield tied up on third down, he's been converting third downs like crazy all year long. I think this game is closer than people may believe that it is. I mean, I want to see the Lions win. The Buccaneers just got a title. Their fans got one. That's nice. The Lions fans have never even been to a Super Bowl. You know, you want to see them happy, but I think this game is closer than people realize.
So we talked about the playoff teams, and I'm sitting there scrolling down the DVOA, and I'm there all the time. I use it as a tool, several times a week. I urge everyone to check it out, get a subscription. But the Jets stand out to me amongst the bad teams. If we hypothetically could say Aaron Rodgers is 80% of what he used to be and gets this offense to average, are they a contender?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought before the season, before he tore his Achilles. I had the Jets as a predicted playoff team. So here's the thing. Offense is more predictive and of the future than defense. Defense is less consistent from year to year. They've had a top defense for 2 years. Yeah. It's really hard to be that good for 3. It's really hard in the modern NFL to be that good on defense for 3 straight years. So you can't go into next year expecting the Jets defense is going to be just that good again. But as long as their defense can still be good, even if it's not as good, and Aaron Rodgers can be above average, like a little bit above average, then that's a playoff contender. Yeah, absolutely.
And they were great on teams this year, which again I know isn't sticky, but still, But
yeah, I mean, what they're just missing is a quarterback. They've got receivers, they've got the offensive line had a lot of injuries this year, but if it has fewer injuries, it should be better. But it's what Rodgers is going to be like at the age of 40, coming back from a torn Achilles. I have no idea.
So we try to have a balance here. We're talking about postseason and playoff teams, and we got to talk about the other teams and talk NFL draft as well. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, best rookie classes. That's probably some teams that were bad and drafted high. And I started thinking about the best rookie classes, and I'm like, well, the Texans are probably up there. The Packers are probably up there. So we're still talking about playoff teams. We're talking about the best rookie classes in the NFL this year.
Yep. So I just wrote a thing for ESPN Plus, along with FTN Fantasy. I also write for ESPN Plus on ranking all 32 rookie classes based on what the players did as rookies. So not what we expect for them in the future. Mm-hmm. And the top 4 teams are all playoff teams: Texans, Rams, Packers, and then Lions. And then number 5 is the Chicago Bears.
Hey, there we go.
That's an encouraging team. I read the whole article, thought you were a little harsh.
It's very discouraging for Vikings fans. It's very discouraging for Vikings fans because Packers, Lions, Bears go 3, 4, 5.
Hadn't thought of that. Yeah, thought you were a little harsh on the Steelers. I'm just gonna, be a little bit biased, but that's all right.
The Steelers.
When I put the Steelers, they're 10th.
They were 10th.
That's good.
I mean, Porter and Benton, they were pretty good this year. I'm talking Jones. Anyway, I got one more question for Aaron. And I don't know how dialed in you are on this. I'm sure you are. And I don't know if you want to divulge it, but are there 2 or 3 teams that you just think, wow, they're doing the analytics thing so well? Or 2 or 3 teams that have no clue what they're doing analytically?
There are some very forward teams. Cleveland, Dallas just hired a bunch of people this year. They built themselves a whole analytics department. Baltimore is always very forward thinking. Every team in the league has at least one analytics staffer at this point, right? There was a point 5 or 6 years ago where that wasn't the case. Now every team has at least one analytics staffer. And the next team you're going to see go very analytics friendly is probably Washington, because Josh Harris has done that in the NBA with the 76ers. They're very analytics friendly. So I would expect that his NFL team is going to be very analytics friendly as well.
And I would imagine some of the 70-year-old coaches around the league aren't as fond of it as getting a packet of numbers as maybe some 39-year-old head coaches around the league.
Well, the first thing I'd say is never give your coach a packet of numbers. You give your coach a 2-minute summary of what they need to know and then let them get on with their lives. Like, it's one of the most important things in analytics is communication to the people that don't do the analytics of what it means, because they don't want to have to go through all the charts and numbers. They just want to know what it means for them.
Is that a job, a conduit? You're almost like a media person for your analytics team to the coaching.
There's a little bit of that. You need to, you can have, baseball teams will have whatever now, like 20 people in the analytics department. I can guarantee you one of them specializes in communication.
Okay. A nerd to jock, translate.
You really, especially, you have guys now who played, right? You have guys who played like Division II or played at like Ivy schools or something. and then they go into analytics. So they've like watched film and they know that stuff, and then they know the analytics world too, and they can translate it very well.
Wow, come a long way.
Fascinating stuff. You can find, you can get neck deep in DVOA at ftnfantasy.com. Of course, Aaron is on Twitter at Schatz NFL. Find FTN Fantasy at FTN Fantasy on Twitter as well. And Aaron, it's a pleasure chatting with you. Appreciate all the information. And we use your website daily. We're on FTN Fantasy all the time. And so appreciate the work you do behind the scenes there, making everybody else smarter.
Thanks, man. I love doing it.
And Matt and I will be back tomorrow. We're making our picks for the divisional round of playoffs. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Talk to you then right here, Peacock and Williamson.